Yes, good afternoon and welcome. This is the Suzette Speak Show. I'm so grateful that you're here with me. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Big up everyone who's listening throughout South Florida. I have a very special guest with me in the building today. She's taking time out of her busy schedule to let us know what's happening in Tallahassee. If you've been paying attention to the news, let me tell you, there's been a lot going on, and we are just excited to have her right here on Voice of the Caribbean Radio. Joining us now is Florida State Representative Miss Angie NIXON, a Jacksonville native, union organizer, mother, and longtime advocate for working families. She's been a strong voice in the Florida House of Representatives on issues like childcare, affordability, voting rights, and standing up to corporate greed. Most recently, I'm talking about a couple days ago, this week, she actually made headlines and went viral, in fact, for protesting redistricting on the Florida House of Representative floor, right, in the chamber, with a bullhorn, marching through the aisles to call attention to what she called an unconstitutional map. And I think there are many that will agree with her. I'm so grateful that she has made time to speak with all of our listeners here throughout the South Florida listening region. Please welcome to the Suzette Speak Show, Representative Angie NIXON. How are you, ma'am?
To be pissed off right now with these attacks on democracy and our voting rights, particularly for folks who are Black or Latino and Hispanic.
Absolutely. I know you have limited time with us, so I want to jump right in. I think we have to start with the basics because sometimes people don't really understand the headlines. People know something is going on with the maps. They're drawing the maps and something is happening. But you've been very vocal about what we are calling, redistricting. That's the word that is used for when the legislature redraws the maps. Now, what concerns you most about the lines that have been drawn and, in fact, have passed recently in the Florida legislature?
Yeah, for sure. So what concerns me is number one, the governor does not have the constitutional authority to have him or his office or anyone draw the maps. That is supposed to be what happens, like that the legislators do. That is our constitutional obligation. And so back in 2022, like let me back up a little bit. Back in 2022, the governor unconstitutionally removed Black congressional districts already in Central Florida as well as North Florida, which happened to be, North Florida is one of the areas in which they removed a Black congressional district. And so fast forward now, he decided to do this in a way that is partisan. And he also, like, it normally takes about several months in regards to like drawing the maps and everything like that. But for this governor, it only took basically a weekend, and he actually released the maps that were drawn to Fox News. And he released the maps, and the colors of the maps happened to be red and blue, and it illustrated that he had picked up, the Republican Party was going to pick up 4 additional seats. And so back in 2010, though, the voters, over 63% of voters here in the state of Florida voted on a ballot initiative, a constitutional amendment. So voters got, like, they had to sign to get it on a ballot, like over 100,000, nearly a million signatures to get it on a ballot, right? And then the voters voted on it, and they had to vote over 60% to vote on it. And they said that they did not want partisan gerrymandering, and they also wanted these districts to be compact in size. And so basically what transpired on Wednesday of this week, the Republicans pushed through a map that was unconstitutional and illegal, and they knew it was. And the sponsor of the bill couldn't even answer questions because she didn't help with any of the map drawing. And so it is a slap in the face of voters.
This is the lady who went viral. I'm so grateful that she's here talking to me.
And I can count on my hand one time, like less on one hand, how many times that I have seen the new congressional member, Aaron Bean, who took over from Al Lawson, who's over my district right now. I can count on my hand one, like I can count on my one hand how many times I've seen him since he's become a congressional member.
Yeah.
And the amount of teeth pulling that my office has to do to get them to handle federal constituency services for folks who call our offices because they can't get a hold of them is like an issue. And that is what is at stake.
Thank you so much for the breakdown. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Voice of the Caribbean Radio, WLYF 101.5 FM HD2 throughout the South Florida region. Monroe County, how you doing? Miami-Dade, what's up? Broward County, Palm Beach, how you doing? I have a very special guest, State Representative Angie NIXON. If you're just joining us, she's calling on the front lines of this redistricting fight. I talked about it at length yesterday if you tuned in, and we're talking about the difference of Wednesday's map that has just been passed. Remember, districts are how we vote, right? How many people live in a district is indicative of who will be elected. If there are more people of one party or more people of the other party, it will have an impact on who gets elected. Now, you're telling our listeners, and thank you so much for the breakdown, but some may not fully understand, how does this new map or this redistricting directly impact everyday communities, especially our Black, our Caribbean American communities? What say you with how it will negatively impact us with the maps that have now been passed by the Florida legislature?
Yeah, for sure. So they're basically diluting our vote and causing us to not be able to vote for the folks that we want to vote for. Like, we'll be able to vote for them, but they're more than likely not going to win because they basically broke up, right? Like, they broke up our districts and they diluted our votes. And so when you don't have, when you're not able to choose someone to represent you, like oftentimes, like these Republicans, I mean, just look at some of the news this past year alone. They told them after they voted against the ACA subsidies to extend the subsidies, they told them do not have town hall meetings in your district because they didn't want them to have to answer to the constituents that lost their health care. And so this is the impact that it's going to have. They do not have to be accountable to us. They can avoid us and all the things. But State Senator, former state rep, LaVon Bracey Davis basically stated that you cannot have your voice diminished if you show up at the poll.
Absolutely.
A gerrymandering that could like harm us if we all show up at the polls and vote. Like, if to the people who think that voting doesn't really matter, like, clearly it does because they had to cut up these districts.
Yes.
Like, they realized that we were about to, like, say no more, right? Like, and we're going to vote a certain way and get rid of a lot of these people who haven't been doing anything for us. And so, like, they tried to rig the game. But the people who can actually help us are the ones that oftentimes don't go out and vote.
Yeah.
Going to be really important for them to know, like, that they got power. Like, they're the ones who can make or break this election. They are the ones that can actually help us build a new vision for our country, one where greedy billionaires and corrupt corporations aren't leading the way, but it's actually the will of the people.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, this is the Suzette Speak Show live right here on Voice of the Caribbean Radio. We are speaking with special guest, Florida State Representative Angie NIXON. She also happens to be a candidate for the United States Senate. Very important to know that. And she went viral this week. That's why I asked her, please come on, talk to the people. She was in the House of Representatives up in Tallahassee on the chamber floor with a bullhorn, y'all. The video has gone viral, just trying to speak out. And I want to know, because it seemed like you were all by your lonesome. What has been the response from your colleagues in the legislature when you've spoken out like you did?
Yeah, so many of my colleagues are supportive of it. And, you know, I understand, like, I am facing possible expulsion, possible censorship, and I get it, right? But, like, I couldn't sit idly by knowing that the very things that Representative Yvonne Henson had to fight for, had to get, like, spit on for, and dog sticks on her for, like, I couldn't just not do anything, knowing that she took so much more just to be able to have a right to vote. Like, me just sitting there, no, I needed to raise awareness what was happening. And like, that's what it is about, right? Like, that is what it's about. We need to galvanize people. Like, people ain't mad enough right now. Like,
Yeah.
and like, our very livelihood is at stake, right? Like, we literally have people who are in power right now that are sending our men and women in uniform off to forever wars that no one asked for.
Absolutely.
It's basically only benefiting defense contractors and benefiting other countries and benefiting Donald Trump and his family and his friends and his campaign donors to be in this war.
Yeah.
It's people struggling to put food on their table, keep a roof over their head, or pay for their medical expenses. Medical debt is a leading cause of bankruptcy. So, think about it.
Yeah.
Going bankrupt because they're trying to stay healthy and stay alive. What type of country is this that we're allowing that to happen? And so I believe that like hardworking everyday folks should get to shape what their communities look like and what their economies look like. And right now, it's the greedy billionaires and the corrupt corporations that are shaping what our economies look like and what our communities look like. And so we have the opportunity to change that come 18th for the primary, as well as November 3rd for the general election.
Absolutely. We're so grateful she's made some time for us. Right now, you're listening to the Voice of the Caribbean on WYLF 101.5 FM HD2, as well as simulcasting in Broward County 96.9 FM. The Suzette Speak Show brings you hot topics, social media trends, news you can use. And today's conversation is dedicated to the hottest topic across the country. It has impacted states like Texas, states like California, and here we are now in the crosshairs. The state of Florida has now been redistricted. Yes, if you haven't heard, the maps that govern how people elect their representatives, both locally to Tallahassee and to Congress up to Washington, D.C., have been redrawn in favor of our Republican, I'll call them brothers and sisters. Please break it down. Go ahead, because I love my people, but I don't think the map also is fair. And again, we had a constitutional amendment by the people of Florida that said they didn't want maps that were supposed to be partisan, but yet here we are. Go ahead.
So I want to be clear. So like this only is going to impact the congressional district.
Okay.
But what's interesting is they said that they did it because there's been such an influx of population to our state. However, the fastest growing area in our state was North Florida, and he left that untouched. And the reason that the governor left that untouched is because there's already Republicans up there. To get more Republicans down south where you all are, as well as over in the Tampa Bay and Central Florida area.
Yeah.
So again, this goes to show you, right, like that our vote is in fact our power. And so we cannot just allow people to take that away from us.
Absolutely. I stand corrected. It's for congressional maps, congressional districts. So many people will be listening to State Representative Angie Nixon. Google it. See the viral moment that she stood up, spoke out, used a bullhorn on the Florida House of Representatives floor in the chamber, right? While she walked up and down the aisle saying this is unconstitutional, this map is unconstitutional, and it's still passed because there is Republican control of our state House of Representatives, meaning they are the majority and have a supermajority. So therefore their bill passed. So now many people will feel like their voices aren't heard. What can citizens realistically do if they believe their district has been unfairly drawn?
So they need to make sure that they go out and vote in August for the primary, and they need to make sure that they go out in record numbers and vote as well as in November. And they need to let Ron DeSantis and the Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, who is down in the Miami area, and the Senate President, let them know that you're not happy, right? And let your state reps and state senators, your designated state reps and state senators know that you're not happy too. And then we really need to get loud about it. Like, we got to let people know, like, this is messed up. This was going against the will of the voter. And we need to tell people, like, that they need to register to vote. If they can, like, get people registered, organize, join some organizations so that we can actually knock on doors and start telling people, like, that the only way we're going to change this, the only way we're going to change the direction of our country is if we get rid of the people at the top, right? like to remove them, get them out of office, fire them from office by voting them out. And so we need people to be boots on the ground, just like the old days, right? Like whether or not folks want to believe it or not, but this is literally a civil rights moment.
Absolutely.
Rights are under attack. And so they need to figure out like what they want their grandchildren or great grandchildren to say, how they showed up in this moment. Like, right? Like, so we need to figure out like what do we want our grandkids to say about us? Right?
Absolutely.
They look back on the history books. Are they gonna tell us? Are they gonna think of us as people who just like put our heads down and just went along to get along, or are we going to do what many of some of our ancestors did, and that was locked arms and fought for our rights?
Yeah.
MAGA is basically like like they are pushing Jim Crow 2.0, and I am not going to sit idly by and just allow it to happen without a fight.
I appreciate that. We are also fired up here in South Florida. Again, we're here having a political discussion today with our special guest, Florida State Representative Angie Nixon. She represents a district out of Jacksonville, Florida. She's also a candidate for United States Senate. I'm grateful that you're spending some time with us, but also saying exactly how many people feel. Some people have been calling in and talking about how they feel silenced. I was almost in tears yesterday talking about the Louisiana case that came out of the United States Supreme Court, Louisiana v. Calais. And we're seeing that, again, we are in a hostile environment, right? So sometimes I'm wondering, because you are right, in my opinion, that this is a civil rights moment, just like it was back for generations before us that used the courts to gain justice. However, I'm looking at, ahead, and are there any legislative efforts or maybe even legal efforts to challenge or revise these current maps? Now, we've seen this map. Again, it's going to cause Democrats to lose seats, guys. And therefore, your representatives that you have become accustomed to, that reflect your views, that hold your values and fight for the issues you care about, we're going to lose a lot of them based on the maps, right? They're going to be a lot more seats favoring only one party. That is the problem with this map. So what do we do? Are there any legal challenges or other legislative efforts that you see happening? Please tell us.
There, yes, there are some legal challenges that are happening, and we're super excited about those. And so hopefully it works out in our favor. But I want to say, right, like that a lot of the appointed judges are like they were appointed by Republicans. And so this is why it's just so important for us to vote, y'all, and to hold our elected officials accountable the entire time. And even like what happened in Louisiana, listen, they were already voting for their congressional in their congressional races, and the governor suspended after the court ruling on Wednesday. The governor suspended the vote and said that all of the folks that voted on those candidates now, like it doesn't count and you have to revote. And so like that is wild. That has never been done, and they're trying to actively steal an election. And it doesn't have to be this way, y'all. It does not have to be this way at all. We can come out in record numbers, much like many of our, our elders did, right? When they were facing even worse conditions.
Right.
Facing shotguns, they were facing lynching, they were facing being dragged, being beaten, right? Like, we're not facing that yet.
Exactly.
Some state-sanctioned violence, right, at times, but like we're not facing the extremists yet. And I want to emphasize yet because we are seeing our rights eroded, and we are seeing our liberties eroded, and we like they getting bold, y'all.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, we need to come out, we need to get out and vote. We need to make sure everyone is registered, make sure your voter registration is
active. Yes.
And that your signatures are up to date, right? Like, do all of the things.
Yeah.
there is nothing that they can say to deny us when we show up at those polls in record numbers, starting in early August for voting,
Yes.
in July for vote by mail, as well as in November. Elections this year. There's the primary in August, and then there is the general election in November. And so we need people to turn out for both of them.
Yes, we only have a couple more minutes with her. I promised I'd get her out on time. She's still doing the people's work, y'all. This is State Representative Angie Nixon. If you're just tuning in, this is the Voice of the Caribbean, the Suzette Speaks Show. Very exclusive conversation today, timely conversation today with State Representative Angie Nixon out of Jacksonville. She stood up, y'all, for voters, for Floridians, for marginalized communities on the House of Representatives floor earlier this week, going viral, but more importantly, making a statement about the maps, the maps, the maps. You need to start researching what is going on with the maps, because the congressional districts, the people who are elected to represent us in the state of Florida to Washington, D.C., have been redrawn in favor of the Republican Party. And this, unfortunately, is going to cost us representation here, right here, South Florida. We're talking to you all over us, especially in South Florida. And of course, we are trying to figure out ways that people can feel empowered, right? Well, in this moment, as she's saying, you got to check your registration. You got to make sure your household is registered. You got to make sure you're active. Even if you registered a long time ago, they're kicking people off of the rolls. You're becoming inactive for all kinds of reasons due to new laws. So you can't take your voting right. They talk about privilege, right, for granted. I'm going to ask her a couple more questions because she is running for the United States Senate as well. Who are you running against in the Senate race?
So Ashley Moody in the general, but I have to get out of the primary, y'all. So making sure folks are registered to vote as a Democrat. You have to be registered to vote as a Democrat or a Republican. Make sure you're registered as a Democrat so that you can vote for me in the primary in August. And so Ashley Moody is the person who was appointed after Rubio left.
That's right.
Secretary of State. And so that is who I would be up against. And a lot of people don't know her, and that's because she ain't doing her job and getting richer. And so it's real. She's a millionaire, and I don't know how many of your listeners are millionaires, but I know I ain't a millionaire, so I know what it's like to work hard and see my savings account have to go down because
you're making decisions between robbing Peter to pay Paul. Trust me, we have about a minute left. State Representative Angie Nixon, first time, hopefully won't be the last time, right here on the Suzette Speaks Show. I asked her to come on because of the very nationally viral moment. She decided to stand up in response to the redistrict maps that were presented in Tallahassee by the Republican Party on the state house floor. And again, they did end up passing. So finally, what message do you want to leave our listeners with about staying engaged and protecting their voting rights?
It's important to know, don't let people take our power away from us, y'all. Do not allow them to take our power. Forget that. Let's get in this fight. Let's make sure we register more voters, right? Tell people to go and get registered at the Division of Elections online. You can register online, and they'll send you stuff so you can sign and everything. And then making sure that we go out and vote. Also, join some organizations, right? We need to bring more attention to what's happening, and these organizations are doing just that, and they are putting boots on the ground and going out and talking to people and educating them. But y'all, I need y'all to raise awareness about everything that's going on. Follow me on social media. I am Angie4FL, ANGIEFORFL on all social media. Come check me out.
And your website? Yes. We're out of time. We thank you, State Representative Angie Nixon from Jacksonville, also United States Senate candidate, for spending some time here with our listeners on the Suzette Speaks Show. Thank you.
The Voice of the Caribbean and Justiflex presents the annual Celebrity Football Match. Artists versus media and selectors. It's the year-to-year event.
All right. I'll be right back. I'll start talking about it. I just wanted to get her in and out. Appreciate you, love. I just want to do a quick promo because it's a big deal to have her on. Oh, I got so much of these. This is in the way.
And that camera is working now.
Which one? The top one?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's. Go this way, maybe? Out of the way. How does that look? Do I look normal? We literally have maybe 30 seconds. How we look? All right, let me 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Suzette Speaks from Voice of the Caribbean Radio. Listen to us every day on WLYF. That's 101.5 HD2, simulcasting in Broward County on 96.9 FM. Listen, I have a very special guest today. You've been hearing all about the redistricting fight. Well, it's here in Florida now. I have State Representative Angie NIXON, who went viral for using a bullhorn on the House floor in Tallahassee to fight against these, what she's calling illegal maps. Can't wait till she joins us. Can't wait to hear what she has to say. Thank you so much for watching. I gotta do it again. Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming back. This is the Suzette Speak Show. Man, that interview was fire. I'm so grateful for Angie NIXON. She is incredible. She is doing so much work for the people. Listen, this is a serious matter. What's happened and what we have just seen occur in Florida is that the congressional maps have been redrawn and there is going to be a lot of seat changes, and therefore there's going to be less representation based on the distribution of people. What does that mean? People who normally have folks that reflect their ideas, reflect how they want government to work for them, will not have the opportunity to get their representation because the districts now will be blended, and what would be in the past predominantly Democratic regions have been split up into little pockets of now fully mostly Republican regions. So now all of the influence of the Democratic strongholds around the state that's in the I-4 corridor. We're talking about from Tampa, the changes in demographics with our influx of Puerto Rican brothers and sisters who came through after Hurricane Maria into the Orlando area and surrounding areas. There have been a lot of demographic changes, and a lot of people, as Representative NIXON talked about, have moved into North Florida as well. Well, in spite of some of those demographic changes, our state legislature just passed a redistricted map that cuts away the seats that are currently held by several African American congresspeople and will now put those seats into larger Republican districts. It's really, really, really scary if you're a person that sees your influence being diluted. And that's in fact what State Representative Angie NIXON was trying to explain to us and gave us a good rundown of what she's been experiencing in Tallahassee and all the things that she says we can do to help fight this, what she called unconstitutional map that has been passed in Florida. Again, the Florida districts to represent us in Washington, D.C. have been redrawn and have passed in the state legislature, now cutting back several Democratic districts currently held by African American Congress folks in half. There were 8 African Americans now representing Florida in Congress. Depending on who wins those seats, they are now held by Democrats. The amount of seats now goes down to 4 that are possibly going to have the influence of majority Democratic regions of our state. So we're very concerned about that. And as I was telling you yesterday, this is not just a Florida thing. We just saw the Supreme Court pass down a ruling from Louisiana. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. If you were joining me just now, this is Suzette Speaks on Voice of the Caribbean. You can listen to us on WLYF 101.5 FM HD2. All the way from Monroe County. What's up? The Keys are in the building. Hey, Key Largo, I see you online. Miami-Dade, what's up? Miami Gardens, what's up? Ghouls. I see you, Aventura. What's up, North Miami? Glad to have you. Thanks for tuning in. Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, Sunrise, Tamarack, I see you, Miramar. How you doing? Lauderdale Lakes in the building. Wagwan. To all my people throughout Broward. I see you, Deerfield. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, Palm Beach. How we doing? Boca in the building. How you doing? And up north. We appreciate you. Everybody listening from around the world. You know we are an app, so make sure you download the app. And you can also be watching us right here in the studio on voiceofthecaribbean.com. Your girl is pretty in pink today, even though the world seems like there's so much negativity. We're trying to keep it positive as well. Have you seen any of the new movies out? I don't know about you. I want to go see the Michael Jackson movie. I was actually talking to my homegirl about it, and she was giving me all the details. I was like, wait, I haven't seen it yet. I do not want to, have any spoilers. She was just so excited. She said it was great. So if you haven't seen the Michael Jackson movie, that might bring you a little joy this weekend. Also, I think The Devil Wears Prada 2 is out. I'm a Meryl Streep fan. Yeah, I'm a Meryl Streep fan. Devil Wears Prada comes out this weekend as well. A friend girl of mine went to go see it yesterday. And so she's, I guess I'll find out from her how The Devil Wears Prada went. The temperature right now, Miami 89, forecast high. The record is 92. That was set back in 1971. But Fort Lauderdale also at 89. And yeah, it's kind of a hot weekend. Get ready, put on your sunblock. I want to give a shout out to my little niecey. She is going to be doing her soccer tryouts. Good luck. I didn't realize in South Florida, the kids, once the soccer season is over, they then try out at the end of the season for who and what level team they will play for the next season. So I'm like, does that make sense? I'm like, it kind of is, because I guess the child might be at their peak at the end of the season, but then what if they get sorry over the summer and then they're not that good the following season? I don't know, just the way they do it. I learned something yesterday. So she will be doing her soccer tryout. Auntie loves you and good luck, right? So much pressure, just have fun. She probably not listening, but maybe her dad and but anyway, so we are talking about the Supreme Court of the United States. But before we get to it, I just want to also remind you, celebrity football match, you can still win tickets. I cannot wait. That is Memorial Monday, May 25th, 2026. We're back. If you missed it, last year was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And all of the Voice of the Caribbean team will be in the building, including the wonderful Mikey and Mike, who will touch the field. Me can't wait to see Mikey run up and down. And because I do believe in you, Mikey. I believe in you. The football match tickets are on sale. You can use my last name, Suzette Speaks. Use Speaks for $5 off, right? Exclusive code. Where you see code, put in Speaks with an S, and you can get $5 off the celebrity football match. Listen, this is a family affair. The kids get in, as well. So make sure, they're kids' activities, I should say. Food truck vendors. There's a VIP section if you want that, if you're into that. Hey, online, those are watching on the YouTube side. Big up all my YouTubers. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who are subscribed to the Suzette Speaks Show YouTube channel. Just look up Suzette, 1Z, 2 T's, Speaks with an S on YouTube and follow. Your girl appreciates it. And on social media as well, follow Voice of the Caribbean, follow Suzette Speaks. If you follow me, I will follow you back. Yeah, man, I will do that. But as I was saying, Memorial Monday. Lock it in. Memorial Monday. Lukey D, Eva Mar, Christopher Martin, Chuck Fender, my DJ, Tony Monteron, yes, Mud Cabra, Tony Curtis, Dexter Daps, Mr. Lex, I can't even do it. Okay, Joshi, Lali, one of my favorite. Lego the Bird still is hitting. And Dirt Bunks. Yeah, shout out to Lali. Maybe he'll give us a little show in between. Flex in the Complex, Jixie King, of course, Wayne Wonder, Fata Diamond, Smoky Fire. DJs also include Mikey Mike, Louis Spree, Super Twitch. Oh, I didn't realize Teflon is coming. Yay, Mr. Vegas. Yay. The Master Chris, Mega Bantan, Galaxy P. No way. They have Vice Mayor Marlon Bolton. He gonna be kicking the feet. Oh, let's go. Let's go, my friend. Futa I. Tony Ruffino. Bug up, Mr. Tony. Richie Poo and Gandhi. Lots more as well. Come and have fun, y'all. It's about the community. When everything is going the way it's going, we need each other and we need communal spaces, right? Where we can have comfort, peace, happiness, joy, right? So that's what we're trying to provide with this activity. It will be entertaining as well as just a relaxing day in the park for the family to come enjoy. So I'll see you Memorial Monday. Let's go, Voice of the Caribbean, in partnership with Vice Mayor Richard Campbell of the city of Lauderhill, as well as Justiflex. So make sure you get your discount. Use my last name. It's still good, y'all. Use my last name when you go to the Eventbrite. Celebrity football match. You can look that up on Eventbrite. But put in my last name, Speaks, with an S, right? Speaks. And you'll get $5 off. Shout out to Pastor Damon. Listen, I see you watching on the YouTube side. Listen, I have to sound a little joyful, a little cheerful. And I was watching my niecey last night. I had a chance to babysit, your girl be babysitting. But honey, yeah, she was singing, she's getting ready for her end of year class recital, and she was singing certain songs and things like this. And I was just like, thank God we're still teaching children to love one another and accept one another, and let your light shine, and you can be the light of the world, and everybody's light matters. I was so touched. I got a little verklempt. She was singing about let your light, light up the world. And I was so happy because I was like, God, with everything going on in the world, you think that, the next generation is doomed. No, we're trying to teach them the right way, and we're trying to allow them to realize that everybody is important, right? Everybody has a soul and a spirit, and everybody has a gift. So it's important. As an adult, I'm just going to say it. She was singing it, and it encouraged me. So all the adults out there, if you just need a reminder, let your light shine too. Your light is important, right? And it's needed. So make sure you make a difference for someone. Just be nice, right? You don't have to do something big gun, extravagant. Just be nice. Just be polite. Give somebody a bly. It's really easy sometimes to put a smile on people's face or start a little conversation and make someone's day. So please practice to do that, even in spite of everything. We consider joy a type of rebellion. Hey, hello. Okay, I got to get off that soapbox. I'm excited though. So bring joy to somebody today. But I do have to go just a little bit more into the Supreme Court decision that changed voting rights. We can't tell you how much it changed voting rights. It has changed. Let me tell you, yesterday I was almost in tears. The people on your YouTube saw it. Really just it has impacted me. I kind of woke up and I'm like, God, the sun still rises in the east and sets in the west. The world will move forward. We've seen times like this already in history. As State Representative Angie NIXON, who was with us during the first half of the show. If you missed it, you missed a great interview. You can watch it on my YouTube. But she was just talking about this is a civil rights moment for real. The voting power of Black people in general has been diluted by the redrawn, what we call redistricted maps that put and scatter Black voters into larger Republican-controlled districts where their vote is diluted and they won't have impact on who actually wins because the voters who are drawn into the district are outnumbering them and are in a different, probably, political persuasion. So there are going to be tons of us now looking at these maps, wondering how are we going to get back to normal? And it's going to be a loss of influence and power at the short term. Let's call it that. But you still have power because you still have a phone. You can pick up and call those representatives. You still have a phone, and you still have the ability to register. Check your registration. I can't say it enough, and I'm going to keep saying it till the August primaries, until the general election this November. You have to check your registration. There are a lot more rules. People's licenses have changed. If you got a new driver's license in Florida after July 1st of last year, you got a new number. Remember, their number on the driver's license now has to match what's on your voter registration card. So you also have to, if you haven't voted in several elections, they're going to put you inactive. If you move address, you need to update your address. If you're an elder and your signature has changed, remember, you have to order your vote by mail every election now. It's not automatic that it goes for 2 and 3 cycles anymore. If you want to vote in the comfort of your home, I think it's like a third of Florida voters vote by mail. You got to order it every single time. So as we get ready for this election season, I know it's early. Y'all saying, Sue, it's only May. Happy May Day. We see a lot of protests going on. I actually can get into it. I hope I get some time. All right, let me get into business. All right. So according to the Griot, in an article published just yesterday, after the landmark decision, and I don't mean it in a good way, The impact of the Supreme Court of the United States decision that we discussed yesterday, Calais versus Landry, goes far beyond Louisiana. If you did not tune in yesterday, you missed a fabulous show. I went in deep on this groundbreaking, earth-shattering Supreme Court ruling that has now, many would say, gutted the Voting Rights Act of 1965. What used to be a given, that there is implicit bias in our voting system. For decades, there was marginalization, meaning keeping Black and brown people out of the system, out of the process, making sure they didn't have the same access as our white brothers and sisters. That was the name of the game. That was par for the course. That was just the law until 1965. Then came the Voting Rights Act signed by Lyndon B. Johnson. I went over some of the history with you. I'm not going to go into it deep today, talking about the price that was paid by so many African Americans when it came to protesting, getting hosed by full blast fire water hoses by their own government, by getting bitten by dogs, getting bloodied and beaten up, thrown in jail. Some of them losing their lives. Blood was shed just so we could vote. And we have now seen the Supreme Court of the United States, in a decision that came out Wednesday, reverse all of the progress. Good Friday to you. Happy Friday, y'all. Anyway, according to this article, the impact of the Supreme Court's decision in this case that came out of Louisiana called Calais versus Landry, it goes far beyond Louisiana. This is an article written by Armani Edie, published yesterday. Armani writes, this is for theroot.com, quote, I find myself wondering where my grandmother was when the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was signed into law. What did she feel in that moment? Did the weight in her chest ease as she took in the realization that she was finally recognized as a full participant in this democracy? Did she allow herself to believe that the quiet, courageous way she showed up for the movement had made a difference? Well, she was the first person I thought of when I saw the same law being hollowed out yesterday, and she wrote this yesterday, but it was on Wednesday, yesterday by the Supreme Court. After years of debate over whether Black political participation is deserving of fair and equal protection and representation, it has been gut-wrenching to witness the highest court in the land take an axe to the very foundation of civil rights as we know it. In the stillness between it all, between attorney colleagues working to make sense of the legal fallout and advocates pushing real-time updates to the communities most impacted, one question kept circulating in my mind. What do we do now? How do we ask people to move when everything feels so heavy and so uncertain? This again is an article written by Miss Armani Edie. I'm just reading from the Griot. This is a reaction piece to the Supreme Court of the United States decision in Calais versus Landry. And Miss Armani Edie is breaking it down, her reaction. This is a editorial that I am reading and sharing her thoughts and seeing if you can relate. She continues, quote, if we are honest, we've been here before. Black people have been here before. At every turning point in this country, we've organized, often from the margins. We've shown up at the polls. We've elected leaders who reflect us. We have taught our children the weight and the power of their civic duty. And we have done it all against the backdrop of ongoing violence in every form. Continuing in Miss Edie's publication in the root.com, her editorial after the Supreme Court's decision in the Louisiana case Calais versus Landry, she writes, quote, the Supreme Court decision in Calais versus Landry marks another devastating blow to the Voting Rights Act and puts at risk the multiracial democracy it was designed to protect. This is a profound setback for our democracy. By gutting Section 2 protections, the court has undermined a critical tool that ensured voters of color had a fair opportunity to elect representatives who reflect our communities and our lived experiences. For decades, Section 2 served as a promise that our electoral system would not be rigged to silence historically marginalized voters. Now, we risk going back to Jim Crow era maps, where voters of color are silenced at the ballot box and unable to elect candidates that represent us. Again, I'm reading an editorial from theroot.com written by Miss Armani Edie in reaction to the Calais versus Landry landmark Supreme Court decision, which has basically rendered the 1965 Voting Rights Act toothless. They say it's a funeral without a death. Continuing to read her editorial in theroot.com. The impact of this ruling extends far beyond Louisiana. Redistricting battles are unfolding across the country, particularly in states where communities of color make up significant portions of the population and have historically been denied fair political power. Weakening Section 2 opens the door for maps that dilute the voting strength of these communities, maps that would fracture neighborhoods, pack voters of color into a few districts, in as few districts as possible, or separate us in ways that dilute our voices. The attacks are not happening by accident. They are part of a concerted effort by some politicians to choose their voters instead of the other way around. Redistricting impacts whether communities get their fair share of resources or get left out. This is, again, an editorial written by Miss Armani Edie for theroot.com. I'm just reading it. So you have a gut-wrenching reaction by one journalist and how she felt this week, like many of us have felt. Again, this is her opinion and her published article. Without strong safeguards to stop discrimination in redistricting, entire neighborhoods can be carved up and sidelined, she says. So the question remains, how much more are we being asked to carry, and how much further do we still have to go? The civil rights movement is our playbook. And this moment we find ourselves in is a litmus test. Now, Armani Edie is a senior democracy campaign strategist at the ACLU. She writes, here at the ACLU, we've strengthened, that's my Jamaican accent, sorry, strengthened our advocacy and litigation to meet this moment. From preparing our 54 affiliates with special focus on those in the battleground states. Hi, Florida, we're in a battleground state. Louisiana, California, and others. To expanding and strengthening our people power network. The author writes, Armani Edie, senior democracy campaign strategist at the ACLU, writing in an editorial on theroot.com. Theroot.com is one of the Black-owned outlets that, again, provide news and perspectives. She continues, our litigators are working hand in hand to help us grapple with this moment and what it means, and preparing for the redistricting fights ahead. And we are equipping voters with real-time information, leveraging our national platform to do mass, what they call Know Your Rights training. We've done them here in South Florida as well. We and those who work tirelessly in coalition with us are prepared to fight. This is the author speaking. It is time to step up. This is Armani Edie, writing for The Griot in an editorial published just yesterday. She ends her editorial saying, quote, Black people, our allies in this movement, and everyone else must step up. And maybe for the very first time, in what has felt impossible, we must rest, reprioritize, and re-strategize. That is our charge. Listen, I've just been reading an editorial from theroot.com by Armani Edie, Senior Democracy Campaign Strategist. Listen to why you have to have that. Senior Democracy Campaign Strategist. I hear people saying all the time as they turn on the news and see the headlines, oh, democracy doesn't work. What we're witnessing, many will argue, is not reflective of actual democracy. We have to strategize to recreate what she says here. Rest, reprioritize, and re-strategize in the months and the weeks, days to come. Listen, don't lose heart. People want you to feel like you don't matter, like your vote doesn't matter. Your vote matters more now than in past because of all the changes we're about to undergo. I didn't even get to ask Representative NIXON. Angie NIXON called us. If you're just joining us during the first half of the show, she's a United States Senate candidate out of Jacksonville, Florida. She's also right now serving as the Florida State House rep from a district in Jacksonville as well. She spoke out so boldly on the floor. I had to invite her on the Suzette Speak Show. She had a bullhorn in her hand, yelling, "This is unconstitutional." I could play it here, but y'all can write. You can look it up. Angie NIXON, ANGIE. And the viral moment has been capturing the attention of so many in Florida, right? The Floridians have been paying attention and beyond because she, in her beautiful, what was it, like a pink jumpsuit, stopped the session and declared her opposition in a very openly, what can I call it, just a definitive way, saying what you're doing is unconstitutional. Unfortunately, those same maps on Wednesday still passed because Republicans have majority, supermajority, and passed the maps anyway. So there will be lost Democratic seats. There will be lost Black representatives going to Congress, who happen to also, in this case, be Democrats. But we cannot put our heads in the sand and feel disempowered. This is the time to get it together, y'all. Check your voting registration right now. Check your families. Check everybody who you know in your household and beyond. Your church sisters, your brothers, your grandmas, your aunties, your nephews, and your cousins. They are deactivating people actively. Listen to me. Deactivate actively. I'm sorry. They are taking people off the rolls daily for little things now that they have tightened up the rules. And some people will argue it is not by accident, it is by design so that they hold power. But we will not be silenced. And again, the views of the Suzette Speak Show are representative of those of the host and the guests and the callers and do not necessarily reflect ownership or management of Voice of the Caribbean Radio. Viewer discretion is advised. I, again, am trying to give you some food for thought, and I appreciate each and every one of you as you listen to me every week. Shout out to my YouTubers. Shout out to my listeners. I appreciate you. Suzette Speak Show comes to you live every Thursday and Friday. Today is Fire Friday. The best mixes. Get ready for the weekend, y'all. I say joy is rebellion as well. Find joy. Be happy. As the author, Armani Edie, on theroot.com, I encourage you to go to theroot.com and read it for yourself. What do you do in this moment? People say, we have no hope. No, our ancestors have been here already. As Representative NIXON said in our interview, we've seen this playbook already. Those elders from the civil rights movement have shown us what it's going to take. Right now, we have the ability to stand up and protest. God forbid things get any crazier. But I'm going to let you make the decision. What can you do in this moment? What will you do in this moment? I'm going to be hosting. If you're around the South Florida area, come join me tomorrow, Saturday, March 2nd. I'll be at the Infertility Summit in Wilton Manors, Florida, hosting a day of empowerment for survivors of infertility. Thank you so much to the organization Filling Empty Wounds. Tickets are still available. You can still buy tickets. And that is going to be Saturday from 1 to 5 at Handy in Wilton Manors. I will be also joining the 2026 Black Beauty Expo Sunday, May 3rd, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. in Sunrise, Florida, as your hostess with the mostest. I cannot wait, guys. Find some joy this weekend. I appreciate you listening. Follow me on all platforms. I'll follow you back. Suzette Speaks. Thanks for listening. Keep it locked. Oh, y'all, I'm so. I
This
love y'all.
is
Have a
the
good day.
all-new voice of the Caribbean.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Better
Take care.
sounding
Thanks for
radio.
watching.
WLYF HD2 Miami, 101.5 HD2. The City of Lauderhill.